I was halfway through a long trip, on one of those bus layovers that eats a chunk of your day in a city you'll never see again. A couple of hours to kill, a station in a part of town I didn't know, in a state I'd never set foot in before. I stepped outside to stretch my legs and get some air, and the first thing I felt, standing on that curb, was that I had no idea where I was. Not lost like in danger, just a stranger, in the open, with nowhere in particular to be. The curb out front was busy in a way that didn't sit right. Not crowded, busy. People moving fast, a few of them talking loud, a couple waving their arms like they were arguing with someone who wasn't there. The kind of restless, frayed energy you get at a station late in the day, where everyone's between two places and nobody's quite settled. I figured I'd just stand near the doors a minute, get my bearings, maybe figure out somewhere to wait that wasn't the curb. And across the street, a woman locked onto me. I don't know how else to say it. She was disheveled, agitated, and the second my eyes passed over her, hers fixed on mine and stayed there. And she started toward me, not strolling, coming, straight across, eyes never leaving my face, like I was someone she'd been waiting for. I didn't know her. I'd never been within 1,000 miles of her, and she was crossing the street to get to me specifically. I did the thing you do, looked away, shifted my weight, got ready to step back inside and not make it a thing. And before she reached me, before I'd taken that step, a car slid up to the curb right beside me. Close, slow. The window was already down, and a young guy leaned across from the passenger seat, easy and friendly, like we knew each other. "What's up, man?" he said. "You looking for something?" I hadn't asked anybody anything. I'd been standing on that curb for maybe 90 seconds, talking to no one, looking at nothing in particular. And here was a car of smiling strangers pulled up tight, asking what I was looking for. Like they'd been sent. I gave some half answer, just waiting on a bus, killing time, maybe finding somewhere to sit. And the whole car lit up, way too pleased, like I'd given exactly the right answer to a question I didn't know was a test. "Oh, you don't want to wait around here," the guy said. "There's a place right down the street. We're headed that way. Hop in, we'll run you over. It's 2 minutes." And he popped the back door for me. From the inside, swung it open onto an empty back seat. All of it smooth, all of it kind, all of it fast. The offer, the destination, the open door, before I'd finished my own sentence. And I almost moved toward it. That's the part I have to be honest about. Because they were friendly, and the door was open, and I was a stranger with 2 hours to kill and nowhere to be. And there is something in you that just wants to be helped when you're lost. But I stopped because of one small thing. The place they were taking me to, I asked which one, what was it called, where exactly? And the answers got vague. "A store, right down there. You'll see it, just hop in." There was no store. I'd been staring down that street for 2 minutes. It was the kind of stretch where you can see a good way in both directions, and there was nothing down there. No sign, no lights, no place a person would drive you 2 minutes to reach. The errand they were offering me didn't exist. They'd built a destination out of nothing and opened a door to take me to it. And while the guy in the car kept it warm and easy, "Come on, man, hop in," I looked past him, and the woman from across the street was still coming. Closer now. Slower almost, like she didn't need to rush anymore, like the car had it handled. One side of me, a smiling open door. The other side, a stranger closing in on foot with her eyes locked on me. And I was the thing in the middle they were both moving toward. That's when the warmth of it stopped feeling warm. Because I finally saw it as one thing instead of two. The car that pulled up before I asked. The errand that wasn't real. The open back door. The woman herding from the far side, so I'd want the safe-looking car. In a place where I was a stranger, and nobody waiting would have known to miss me. "Just get in, man." He said it again, and the friendliness had thinned out of it now, gone a little flat, a little firm. The back door still hanging open, the woman maybe 15 feet off and not stopping. And I said, "No." Out loud, plain, "No, I'm good, I'm gonna stay right here." And I took a hard step backward toward the station doors, into the light where the security desk was, where there were people who worked there, off the curb and out of the reach of that open door. And the second I moved, both of them broke off. The same instant, like a string had been cut. The guy pulled his arm back in, the door shut, and the car slid away from the curb, smooth and unhurried, no screech. A car was somewhere else to be. And the woman stopped dead in the street, turned, and drifted back the way she'd come, her eyes finally off me. Two things that had been aimed at me from two directions, released at the same moment, the second I stepped out of the trap. I went back inside, and I stood by the security desk for the rest of that layover. Didn't sit, didn't wander, didn't go back out for air. I watched the doors until my bus was called, and the whole time my heart wouldn't slow down, because nothing had actually happened. A car had offered me a ride. A woman had walked toward me. I'd said no. On paper, nothing. But I'd felt the shape of it close around me on that curb, and the shape was the kind you only get to feel once and walk away from. I still take those layovers. I still end up on strange curbs in cities I'll never see again. But my body remembers the shape of that curb, the car tight on one side, the woman closing on the other, and me in the middle, the soft walls of it drawing in. It comes back in my shoulders before my head even names it, anytime help drives up smiling with a place already in mind. So I don't stand out in the open looking lost, and I don't get into anything that comes to me before I've asked. If I need help now, I go inside and find the desk, and I've never once regretted being the rude one who said no. It was my last night in a city I'd come a long way to see, and I'd let myself enjoy it. The streets were full, a big match on somewhere, the whole place out late, loud and friendly and lit up. I was on my own, but it didn't feel lonely. It felt like the safest kind of crowd, the kind where you're one warm body in 1,000. I was walking back toward my hostel in no hurry, taking the long way through the noise, and in a crowd like that, an old man falling into step beside me felt like nothing at all. He was older, grandfatherly, soft-spoken, with that easy way some older men have of talking to you like they've known you for years. He asked where I was from, what I'd seen, whether I was enjoying it. All the harmless, small talk of a friendly stranger in a friendly crowd. And then he said his family ran a little pub just up the way, a proper local place, not the tourist stuff. "Come have one with us," he said. "It's just up the hill, 5 minutes. My family'd love you." And it sounded, honestly, lovely. The exact kind of night you hope for in a place you'll never come back to. So I went. That's the simple truth of it. I said yes, and we turned off the main street and started up the hill. And for the first stretch, it was fine. Still people around, still light, still the sound of the crowd behind us. He talked the whole way, warm and steady, about the pub, about his family, about the city. And I half listened, smiling, walking, not noticing, not yet, that with every step the sound behind us was getting smaller. The hill kept going, and the higher we got, the more the city fell away beneath us. The crowd thinned, the lit shop fronts gave way to dark houses. The roar of the match night streets dropped to a murmur, then to almost nothing, until it was just our 2 sets of footsteps on a quiet road. And I remember thinking, in that small, easy-to-ignore way that a pub would have a sign: lights, noise, people. And up here there was none of that, just darker and quieter the further we climbed. I asked how much further. Light, casual, just making sure. And he said, just up here, not far now, and kept walking. Same warm voice, same easy smile. But the answer didn't actually answer anything. And the street ahead of us was empty, and the street behind us was empty. And somewhere in the last few minutes we had walked clean out of the crowd and into a part of the city where it was just him and me. And he must have felt me start to slow, because the talk changed. Not all at once, it cooled. The eagerness went out of it. The pub stopped coming up. He got quieter, and what he did say got stranger, drifting somewhere I couldn't follow. Little flat statements with no warmth under them. And I kept my smile on and my voice light, because some animal part of me had already understood that letting him see I was afraid would be the worst thing I could do. I said something about needing to get back, that my friends were expecting me. A lie, I was alone, but you learned to say it. And he didn't argue. He just looked at me, this kind old grandfather, and for a second the kindness wasn't in his face at all. It had simply switched off, the way a light goes out, and underneath it there was nothing I recognized. Nothing warm, nothing old man harmless. Just a flat, patient attention fixed on me, on this empty road where I'd let him walk me. And then, calmly, like he was confiding, he started to tell me what he was. No rush, no heat. The flat, even voice of a man describing a thing he was good at. And then he said the thing I will hear for the rest of my life. He looked right at me, soft and certain, and he said, "You don't realize how much danger you're in." Just like that, quiet, almost gentle. Not, "I'm going to hurt you." Worse, a statement of fact about where I already was, about the road I was standing on, and the crowd I couldn't hear anymore, and the distance between me and anyone who could help. He wasn't warning me. He was telling me I'd already walked too far. Everything in me went cold and very clear. I didn't run. I knew somehow that running would be the thing that started it. So I kept my feet moving at the same easy pace, and I kept my face soft, and I kept talking, agreeing with him, nodding, buying inches, while I looked, without turning my head, for anywhere with light, anyone at all, any reason to break away that wouldn't look like fear. And the whole time I was doing the math you should never have to do. How far back the crowd was, how fast he could move, whether anyone behind one of those dark windows would even hear, or whether the glow at the bottom of the hill was already too far to reach. And then a stranger saved my life without ever knowing it. A young man coming the other way down the hill, half drunk and happy from the match, saw me, grinned and called out something friendly, a hello, a shout about the game, the kind of thing a stranger throws at another stranger on a good night. And it cracked the whole thing open, because for 1 second there was a third person on that road, a witness, a face, a gap in the dark, and the old man's attention flicked, just for a beat, toward the noise. And I took it. I lit up at the young man like he was my best friend in the world, said something bright and loud about being starving, late, I have to meet my friends back at the square, I have to run, and I peeled off, fast, toward him, toward down, toward the light and the noise I'd let myself climb away from. Not running, walking hard, talking the whole time, putting the young stranger between us, aiming my whole body back down the hill toward the crowd, like the last few minutes had simply ended. And the old man didn't follow. I looked back once from further down, and he was just standing there in the middle of the dark road where I'd left him. Not coming, not calling out, his face gone completely blank. No warmth, no anger, nothing. Watching me go with the flat, empty patience of a man who had simply lost this one and was already letting it go. I got back down into the crowd and the light, and I didn't stop until I was somewhere bright and full of people. And later, safe, I tried to find it, the pub he'd been taking me to. The little family local, just up the hill. There was no pub up that way. No bar, no family place. Nothing at the top of that road but more dark houses in the edge of the city. The whole reason I turned off the safe street, the destination I'd climbed all that way toward, had never existed at all. I still travel alone, and I still let strangers be kind to me, because most of them are. But something in me listens now that didn't before. When a warm voice wants to walk me somewhere, I don't watch the voice. I listen behind me, to the crowd, to whether it's coming with us or thinning out step by step, the sound of other people getting smaller. On that hill, I stopped hearing them and didn't notice until it was almost too late. Now I hear it the second it starts to fade. And I owe my whole life to a drunk boy who said hello. We've been on the ferry for 10 hours, the two of us, backpacks in bad sleep, and we came off it into a port we'd never seen, in a country we barely knew, right as the light was going. That blue, draining, end-of-day light where everything's still visible, but nothing's warm anymore. We were tired, we were turned around, and we had our maps out, standing near the dock trying to work out which way the town even was. Lost, and clearly lost, in the open, where anyone watching could see it. And a man came over to help, which, at first, was a relief. He was well-dressed, mid-30s, easy and charming, with good English and a big, confident smile. "You look lost," he said friendly. "Where are you trying to get to?" We told him the name of our hostel, and he nodded like he knew it well. "I can take you," he said. "I've got a car. It's just around the corner. 5 minutes walk. I'll drive you over. No trouble." A local with a car offering two exhausted strangers a lift. Exactly the help you'd pray for. So we went with him. Off the dock, onto a busy avenue, and I want to be fair, it was busy at first. Traffic, people, lights coming on. He walked between us, talking the whole time, and the talk was where the first thread came loose. Because he told us he ran a taxi company. And then, a minute later, that he was actually a tour guide, did this for the love of it, and then that he was a law student just helping out. Little contradictions, dropped lightly, each one not quite matching the last. We kept following because none of it was alarming on its own. People exaggerate. People have 3 jobs, and he was so warm, so sure, so clearly just a friendly local doing us a kindness. "Where's the car?" my friend asked light. "Just up here," he said and pointed ahead. "Around the corner." So we went around the corner, and there was no car. Just more street, and his hand already lifting toward the next turn. "There, just past there, 2 minutes." And that became the rhythm of it. Every time we asked where the car was, it was around the next corner. Just up here, just past this, almost there. And every just up here took us one more turn off the busy avenue, onto streets a little quieter, a little darker, a little further from the lights and the traffic and the people. We were being walked somewhere, a corner at a time, toward a car that kept moving the moment we got close to where it should be. Meanwhile, his story kept shifting under our feet. Now, his parents were from one country, and he'd grown up in another, and he'd studied somewhere else again. Names of cities, jobs, all of it sliding around, none of it ever landing on a single true thing. And my friend, trying to pin one corner of it down, asked him the name of the taxi company. and his face fell. Just for a second, but it fell. The way a face falls when it's been caught, before the smile came back up over it. And he started asking us things. Soft, helpful sounding things, woven into the patter. Which hostel exactly? The address? Were we meeting anyone there? Was anyone expecting us tonight? And we gave vague answers. Friends waiting, people who knew our plans. The small lies you learn to tell. Because something in both of us had started, quietly, to not want this man to know how alone we actually were in this port, in this country, with the light almost gone. I kept telling myself the ordinary story. He's harmless. He's a talker. The car's real and parking's bad, and it's just a long walk. All the reasons to keep following a friendly man one more corner. But the avenue was behind us now. The lights were behind us. The crowd was behind us. And ahead of us, the street kept narrowing and darkening. And the car he kept promising was always exactly one turn further than wherever we were standing. And then he pointed us at the last corner. There, he said, right around there, that's where I'm parked. And we came around it. And I have never forgotten what was there. Because what was there was nothing. A narrow side street, hedges high on both sides, dark green walls of them closing it in. No shop fronts, no doorways, no people, and not one single car. Not his, not anybody's. As far down that street as we could see, in the last of the light, there was no car anywhere on it at all. And that was the moment the whole thing turned over. Because he'd said the car was here, right here around this corner, and we were around the corner, and there was no car, and there was no reason for there to be no car except that there had never been one. The taxi, the company, the lift, the 5-minute walk, all of it had been one thing, which was getting us off the busy avenue and onto this hedged, carless, empty street, a long way now from anyone who could see. My friend and I didn't say a word to each other. We didn't have to. I felt her go cold beside me at the exact instant I went cold. Both of us standing at the mouth of that side street, looking at the hedges in the dark and the total absence of any car, and feeling the same thing land in both of us at once. This is wrong. This has been wrong for a while. And the only thing down that street is whatever he's been walking us toward. And he felt us stop. He turned, and the smile was still on, but it was working harder now, and he gestured down the dark side street. Come on, it's just here, it's fine, come on. Reaching for us, almost, with the words. Patient, coaxing, one more corner, one more few steps, into the hedges, in that same warm voice that had walked us all the way across a strange city to the one street with no one on it. We looked back the way we'd come, the avenue of faint glow blocks behind us, and between us and it, only him, still smiling, still waving us on into the dark. So we ran. Not toward him, past him, away, back toward the light, the two of us braking at the same second without a signal. Just gone, sprinting back through the turns he'd walked us through, packs slamming on our backs, not looking at him, not stopping when he called after us, heading for the only thing we wanted in the world, which was the loud, bright avenue full of strangers who could see us. We hit the avenue and we ran straight out into it, into traffic, actual moving traffic, because a busy road full of cars that might stop felt safer than one more second on his streets. Horns, brakes, a driver shouting, and we didn't care. We made it to the island in the middle, and we finally turned around. And we looked back at the mouth of the street we'd come from, ready for him to be right behind us. And he wasn't there. He was just gone. In the few seconds it took us to cross, The man who'd been 10 feet behind us had vanished, and there was nowhere for him to have gone. No door, no car, no side path, nothing on that corner but the hedges. He hadn't run off down the avenue where we'd have seen him. The only place a person could disappear to that fast from that spot was back into the bushes he'd been trying so calmly to walk us into. We stood on that traffic island a long time before we could move. And then we made our own way to the hostel, the long way, on the lit streets, jumping at everything. And we never found out a single thing more. Not who he was, not which of his stories, if any, was true, not what was down that hedge street, or who else might have been waiting on it, or how many tired travelers had come off that same boat at that same hour and followed that same kind voice around that same receding corner. We just got lucky and got out and took the not knowing with us. I've traveled a lot of places since, and I still get lost in new ones, and strangers still offer to help. Most of them mean it, but the two of us still carry the same gap all these years on. We never saw his face. We never learned which story, if any, was true, or what was down that street, or how many came off that boat before us and followed the same corner we did. We got out, and we never got to know what we got out of. That's the part that stayed, not the fear, the not knowing. A door in the dark will never get to close. And let's never meet. 3 strangers, 3 places I didn't know. A car that pulled up before I asked, with a store down the street that wasn't there. A kind old man who walked me up a hill toward a pub that didn't exist and told me the truth once it was too quiet to matter. And a charming local who walked us across a whole strange city toward a car that was always around the next corner, until the corner was a dark street with no cars on it at all. None of them chased me. Each one just offered to show me the way, and the way kept moving. So before you close the tab, ask yourself the quiet question. Of those 3, the store down the street, the pub up the hill, the car around the corner, which destination would you have kept walking toward, lost and grateful, one more step than you should have? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe so the next one reaches you before you're the one standing somewhere new and turned around. And the next time you're lost and a warm stranger says it's just up ahead, make them show you the up ahead before you follow them out of the crowd.